Let us start today's Bhagavatam verse discussion. So, uh, welcome you all for the SP session. Today topic is Canto 2, Chapter 1, Shloka 23. And behalf of my leader, I would like to thank all the Japa leads and the devotees who have joined for Mangalarati. Then I would like to thank Mathurapati Madhusudan Prabhu, Vrajanath Varadarajan Prabhu, and all my Shiksha leaders for giving a wonderful opportunity to purify myself in the early morning. And thank you so much for you all to join the session. Let us begin. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayet Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nitya Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtakhi. So today we are discussing the beautiful verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 2, canto 2, chapter 1, shloka 23. So let us recite the shloka. Shri Shuka Uvacha, Shri Shuka Uvacha, Jitasano Jitashvaso, Jitasano Jitashvaso, Jitasango Jitendriyaha, Jitasango Jitendriyaha, Sthule Bhagavato Rupe, Sthule Bhagavato Rupe, Manaha Sandhara Yeddiya, Manaha Sandhara Yeddiya. Translation and meaning by His Grace Srila Prabhupada. नमो विष्णुपादाय परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्रुत श्रीमद भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी ಶ್ರೀಲ ಪ್ರಭುಪಾದ ಕಿ ಜೈ. ಶುಕಮುನಿಗಳು ಉತ್ತರಿಸಿದರು, ಒಬ್ಬನು ತನ್ನ ಆಸನ ಭಂಗಿಯನ್ನ ನಿಯಂತ್ರಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ಳಬೇಕು. ಯೋಗ ಪ್ರಾಣಾಯಾಮದಿಂದ ಉಸಿರಾಟವನ್ನ ನಿಯಂತ್ರಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ಳಬೇಕು. ಹಾಗೆ ಮನಸ್ಸು ಮತ್ತು ಇಂದ್ರಿಯಗಳನ್ನ ನಿಯಂತ್ರಿಸಬೇಕು. ಬುದ್ಧಿಶಕ್ತಿಯಿಂದ ಮನಸ್ಸನ್ನು ಭಗವಂತನ ವಿರಾಟ ರೂಪವೆಂದು ಕರೆಯಲಾದ ಸ್ಥೂಲ ಶಕ್ತಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ತೊಡಗಿಸಬೇಕು. Translation: Sukadeva Goswami answered, one should control the sitting posture, regulate the breathing process by the yogic pranayama, and thus control the mind and senses, and with intelligence apply the mind to the gross potencies of the Lord called Virata Rupa. So let us read the purport. The material absorbed mind of the conditioned soul does not allow him to transcend the limit of the bodily conception of self, and thus the yoga system for meditation, controlling the sitting posture and breathing process and fixing the mind upon the Supreme, is prescribed in order to mold the character of the gross materialist. Unless such materialists are able to cleanse the materially absorbed mind, it is possible for them to concentrate upon thoughts of transcendence. And to do so, one may fix one's mind on the gross material or external features of the Lord. The different part of the gigantic form of the Lord are described in the following verses. The materialistic men are very anxious to have some mystic power as a result of such a controlling process. But the real purpose of yogic regulations is to eradicate the accumulated dirty things like lust, anger, avarice, and all such material contamination. If the mystic yogi is diverted by the accompanying feats of mystic control, then his mission of yogic success is a failure, because the ultimate aim is God realization. He is therefore recommended to fix his gross materialistic mind by a different conception and thus realize the potency of the Lord. As soon as the potencies are understood to be instrumental manifestation of the transcendence, one automatically advances to the next step and gradually the stages of full realization become possible for him. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानार्चनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्ता राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गे राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितनां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So in this chapter, as we know that this is a first step for self-realization from chapter 2 from Srimad Bhagavatam. So we can understand that there are different ways are recommended in different yugas to get the God realization. So this canto specially speaking about the first step for God realization. So the context goes like this. So as we know, Parikshit Maharaj is asking this question for the entire benefit of human being, isn't it? So Sukadev Goswami first describes a general yogic method which is suitable for materialistic or beginners transcendentalist, they are saying. So it means that the method whatever is prescribed here is for the beginners. That's what we can see in the Prabhupada purport. But one thing we need to understand at the end, Prabhupada is telling, even the verse intention is to say that this is not the highest process. It's just a stepping stone which leads to bhakti. So let us dive into a Hatha Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga. Then we'll understand how Bhakti Yoga is important. So the shloka emphasizes that Jita Sangha. So in that you can see what do you mean by Jita Sangha? So Shukadeva Goswami said Jita Sangha, Jita Asana, controlled sitting posture. Jita Shwasa. Shwasa means breath. So controlled breathing process. Jita Sangaha, controlled association. Jita Indriya, controlled senses. Sthule. Sthules means gross matter. Bhagavataha, unto the personality of a Godhead. Rupa, the features of. Manaha means the mind. San, uh, Sandharaye means must apply. Diya by intelligence. So, all these words we can see what is common here. All they are talking about the five senses along with the mind. But there's a one thing called control, isn't it? So we know that what to control, what not to control, because we are in a bona fide parampara by the instructions of Guru. It's not only said control, it's also recommended us, guided us that how to control, correct? And I always remember our His Grace Vrajnath Prabhu always says, Mataji, in our bhakti system, nothing is controlled. Everything you can enjoy by giving it to Krishna and you can receive his remittance. So there is no don'ts in Krishna consciousness. Everything is do, do. Do for what? Do for whom? Do for Krishna. Everything we have to divert towards the satisfaction of Krishna. So here, the Virata Rupa, the gigantic or universal form of Supreme Personality of Godhead, about to be described. So let us see. I just I can share. Then we'll see what is Virat Rupa. What is why we have to focus on. I mean, the beginners, the neophyte. it's recommended in this verse. In verse, it says that you have to meditate by controlling all your senses. Then you have to meditate. Meditate on what? Meditate on Virata Rupa. Let us see what is Virata Rupa. I'll just show one form. When you see this Virata Rupa, it's not look like a human being form, isn't it? It's something like, lot of head, lot of devatas are present with Narayana. There's an Adishesha present, lot of hands, isn't it? So all these things is there. It means that what is a real form of Krishna? I just show real form of Krishna, as we know that it is Tribangi form. In Goloka Vrindavana, how our Krishna will be? In Tribangi form. He's just like a cowherd boy, isn't it? Prabhu, can you see my screen?
Yes, Mataji, it
Yes,
is visible.
yes, we can see.
Yeah, Prabhu, thank you. So, see, this is something unusual, isn't it? So, people think that God, okay, God, we give an example. Who is God? Generally, we see all the avatars of God, isn't it? So, you can see this. This is something not a human being can perform, isn't it? So, people think that, okay, God means something, with lot of head, lot of hand and mystic power. So, when we say Krishna and Rama is an example of God, like avatars of God, and Krishna himself is an avatari. But beginners, we won't tell all these things. We can just say these are the incarnation of God. God has come to, protest the dharma, right? Pavitranaya sadhuna vinashaya cha dushkrita dharma samsthapanadhaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So people won't believe if there is, God is just like an human being. They just conclude saying that, okay, how we have a limitation, the same way God also has a limitation, isn't it? So that's why it is mentioned here that Virata Rupa. We have to meditate on the Virata Rupa. So people will think that, God is a person. They try to carry over all the material limitations that an ordinary human being experience and try to place those same limitations upon the God. So that's why it's not recommended to the people or in the beginners to just meditate on Krishna. They can't meditate because they have a lot of contamination. Their mind cannot be focused. That is what they are focusing here. So when I was hearing the lecture, by our dear His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj. I was so happy because the mood when Guru Maharaj says itself has lot of potency, lot of spiritual energy. So he was telling that no other way in Kali except holy name. So we can understand what Bhakti Yoga prefers. So in Ashtanga Yoga, there are lot of limbs. There are 8 limbs. That's why we call it as Ashtanga Yoga. It starts with Yama, Niyama, then Asana, then Pranayama, then Pratyahara, then Dharana. So then Dhyana, then Samadhi. So we have to go with a lot of process. There are a lot of steps involved in it. When there is lot of steps involved, obviously we know there is a lot of time involved in it, and it's a gradual process. You cannot get that realization. And let us understand what is the meaning of yoga. So yoga has come from a Sanskrit word, the word called yuj. From yuj it has, we call it as yoga. So in yoga, the meaning is like union, united. So with what we have to unite, we have come from the source and we have to go back to that source. What is that source? That source is a supreme personality of Godhead. That is the Lord Himself. So the yoga system for meditation is prescribed in order to mold the character of the gross material. So the overall understanding of this slide, you can see the slide is that, so yoga is just like a ladder, the ladder, but the destiny is to united. So united with a supreme personality. So some people follow this yogic system of meditation just to gain some power, the mystic power. So what happens when the mystic power gained by the person? So he tried to become famous. I think yesterday I was listening one lecture. In that, I literally forgot that Acharya name. Um, this is Srivasadi. Thakur place, Srivasadi Angan, all the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associate used to uh, gather and do bhajan, ecstatic kirtan, right? Lot of discussion and discourse on Shastra. So there's one person I definitely recall and I mentioned in the group. So that person has a lot of jealous on them. Then he put all the inauspicious things on the entrance of the Shivasa Thakur's or Shivasa entrance of the house. Then, all those things like non-veg and some flesh of the bones and everything. Then next day morning, when Shivasa Pandit opens the door, he saw all this, the stuff and which is very inauspicious. Then the people also came to know because there is a bad smell emitting. Then all of them is like, what is this? What happened? Somebody, what cruelty they have done it. It's not at all recommended. They have to get punished. Even it has reached to Nityananda Prabhu and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's knowledge. Then they all rush to that place. And what is this? See, the intention of that person is to prove that Srivasa is very bad. He is indulged in all this nonsense. He's not at all a right person to stay in Krishna consciousness. That is what he wants to prove because he is very much jealous of Srivasa because he is very much lovable by our Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda. Then, what happens? Srivasa Pandit did not deny. He said, yeah, 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 it's maybe me, myself, because I have doing all these things. No, it's nobody is responsible for this. It has come to front of my house. I'm responsible for this. I only use this all and all these things is done by myself. He's taking that blame. Okay, so the understanding of this is, I mean, the again the story goes, and they find that person, and find the person who has done committed that sin will come back to Mahaprabhu and he surrenders. That's a second story. But here, what we understand, and Nityananda Prabhu went and asked Shivasa, "What have you done? Why did you accept this?" Then he says, it's okay. The blame should be come to me so that people are already praising me a lot. They are treating me as if like, I'm having a lot of purity and power. So I don't want that, Mahaprabhu. I just want to be a servant of you. I don't want to take up anything which keeps me pride and popular. So when I say like this, people lose interest on me. They may not see me as I'm something great. I don't want to be a great in this word. I want to be an minimal, least insignificant servant of your lotus feet. So this is a mood I definitely wanted to share with you. So when we are meditating on the Lord, um, it is easy for the devotees, but what about the non-devotees, right? So, and one more thing which we need to understand, and Srila Prabhupada emphasize is that Atmavid. What is Atmavid? Those who know the Atma. So, generally, we say, and many people, even in Western, even in most of the side, people say that I am the body. I am the body. I have a soul. Look at the difference. I am the body. I have the soul. But if you say in ulta, in backward, we can say, I am a soul. I have a body. Right? So this is what the difference in yogic system and the bhakti yoga. So people see the words are same, but how you put makes a matter. That's called an actual realization. That's called an actual realization. So let's come back to the term called Atmavid. So Atmavid means who knows the Atma. Let's start with the primary scriptures, uh, starting from Bhagavad Gita and small Prabhupada books. Arjuna devilled, and Arjuna asked, Krishna, kindly guide me, help me. Then what did Krishna say? Krishna did not say, do this, do that. He started from the second chapter, the soul. He started giving an knowledge about the soul, isn't it? So why? Because we must know Atma Tattva. That's very Atma Tattva. So that's very important because self-awareness, we can say self-aware. We have to be self-aware. When we go to any just take an example of national games or athlete or any Olympic event. Forget about all this national level. Even in our school level, when we want to participate, there is something called qualified round, isn't it? What do you mean by that qualified round? You have to pass in that qualified round, then they will give a chance to participate according to your performance. The same thing in spiritual also, there is a qualified round. So there is a qualified round in spirituality. So what is that? We have to become self-awareness. That's why in second chapter in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gives Arjuna the knowledge of soul. He did not start with karma yoga. He did not start with bhakti yoga. He did not start with dhyana yoga or jnana yoga. He started with giving a qualified knowledge for spirituality. The first preliminary knowledge what we have to pursue is to understand the transcendental is Atma, knowledge of soul. So that's a one thing we need to focus here. And we think about God, as I know that God is a supreme personality of Godhead. Everything is emaned from the God. So one can directly engage in the service of Krishna. So he will, how do we start with that? We started chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And what happens after that? All our leaders calls for some services, right? In our Bhakti center or in the temple. So directly we get a chance to serve the devotees and the Lord. Then we'll taking part in Sankirtana Yagna. Why Sankirtana Yagna? Because that is recommended in Kali Yuga. There is no other way. And see, look at this. It is very easy. As I told you before, in yoga system, there are 8 limbs, Ashtanga Yoga. Correct. So we have to follow a lot of steps, get a God realization. And that is also not destiny. As I told you, all this yoga system is the steps. It's a gradual, right? But still it is recommended. Then we may have a question. Even in Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 6, chapter 8, Krishna says, you have to follow yoga, Ashtanga yoga. It is says, right? Yeah, then why again Bhakti yoga? Again, why Krishna is recommended for yoga system? One thing we need to understand, this is for the beginners because this is a step-by-step process and all this gross body is contaminated. In the purport, we can see lust, anger, all this jealousy, enviousness, everything is there. Correct? Still, there is a knowledge of we are the body and I have a soul. Right? So after that, once we do all this process, let's start with an asana. In the purport, it is mentioned Jita Asana. So Jita Asana. So why asana is important? So it's very beautifully mentioned here that, um, um, you know, 1 minute. Let me go to the next slide. Let's see. The real purpose of yogic regulation is to eradicate the accumulated dirty things like lust, anger, avarice, and all such material contamination. This is the object of the yoga system. So now there is a different limbs, right? So what this different limb says? So when we see this posture, yogic posture, asana, come to the asana. So when we do yogic asana, what happens? So that actually help us to concentrate, that steady posture. So actually, I heard many people have a struggle to sit. And how do we chant? First of all, we chant in a one particular place. That is what recommended, isn't it? Even that's one of the principle of chanting. So we have to sit in one place. We have to not move mainly. So that is what we have to achieve here. But it is misunderstood. The misconception is, oh, when you are practicing yoga, you should know Shirshasana, you should know Sarvangasana, you should always practice lot of difficult asana. That is Hatha Yoga. But that is not recommended here. Even for the beginners, what they have to do, they have to take these asanas just to overcome the bodily difficulties, So steady posture they have to develop. What happens when we have a steady posture? When we have a steady posture, that helps concentration. So Srila Prabhupada repeatedly states in his lecture, in this stage, people cannot practice Ashtanga Yoga seriously because it is not easy. It is highly difficult. So that is why it is recommended to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And in chapter Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6 chapter 11 to 12th shloka, to practice yoga, one should go to scheduled place and sit in a steady posture, isn't it? So, but it is impractical in Kali Yuga, correct? But it is not recommended. But just practicing yoga, what we can do, we can just focus on concentration. Concentration comes from little practice of yogasana. It is not recommended to go for a deep, intense asana practice. And controls of the breath. What is the benefit of pranayama? So, breath control means control of the mind. So it's not to show that yogic posture, like how many hours you will block your nose and stays, that's not necessary. Without devotion, breath control does not purify the heart. So you can see in this, the accumulated dirty things has to be cleansed. That is why we are practicing the yogic regulation. Srila Prabhupada in his lecture, it says, breathing exercise may give health, but it will not awake the love for Godhead, which is there in our heart. That's why we say, everybody are devotee. Some, the devotee nature, the God realization is awakened, love of God is awakened. Some of them not yet tried or put an effort to awake it. So in fifth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it says that restraining the senses, fix the eyes between the eyebrows, equalizing the inhalation and exhalation. In one of the shloka, it's mentioned like this. This is called meditation or pranayama. So what purpose? Just to focus, intensify, uh, inattentive chanting, to avoid inattentive chanting. We want this. And freedom from material attachment. That is called Jita Sangha. As I mentioned, that yoga ladder has a five, the fifth step. That is after yama, niyama. Yama means a social discipline. Niyama means self-discipline. Next is the asana, that is for concentration. Then pranayama. Then there is something called pratyahara. Pratyahara is bridge between the four, here the four limbs, after the three limbs. So these four limbs like yama, niyama, asana and pranayama is for the external body. Pratyahara after dharana, dhyana, samadhi, these three for internal purification. So there is something, the other limb called pratyahara. So that pratyahara help us to get a freedom from material attachment. Pratyahara means withdrawing of all the senses. So the attachment to sense enjoyment in the main obstacle, right? So the real detachment comes only through a higher spiritual taste. How do we get a higher spiritual taste? When we constantly chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. But this is just a step to get that taste. So, um, you cannot give up attachment by force, right? So, we must get a better engagement. What is a better engagement? How many times you keep on withdrawing incenses? Oh, you are a yoga teacher, you are not supposed to do this. Huh? How many times we can able to listen to ourselves? So there is not imposition, actually speaking. There is something which convinces, right? So that help us to motivate, and being with an association of a devotees, that help us to focus on the regulative principles. So what we can artificially, we can control our senses with the tongue, chanting and taking prasadam, with the ears, hearing Bhagavatam, with the eyes, by doing deity worship, seeing the darshanarati. So that's how we can control. So this is what the beginner is supposed to do, right? So now after that, dharana. So now what is that comes? Virata Rupa. So the Virata Rupa, and I just read out this for you. So it is the nature of Hare Krishna Mahamantra that anyone who chants immediately develop his love ecstasy of Krishna. Thus, connected a devotee develops his original attitude of service to the Lord. In this attitude of constantly serving Krishna, which is called bhava, he always thinks of Krishna in many different ways. One who has attained this bhava stage is no longer under the clutches of a illusory energy. So there is one lecture, even Guru Maharaj says, he went to one Western yoga camp. Earlier, most of the ISKCON devotees were going to the yoga camps and all. Why? Because there, a lot of people feel like inclined to spiritual, so that we can get a many souls. So that's the reason. Then once Guru Maharaj went there, then all the people, those who are there, most of them are in bikinis and partially nude, it seems. Then that's how, the materialistic yogic practice. And now you have heard beer yoga, couple yoga, dog yoga, many nonsense has been come in the name of yoga. Means people do not know the meaning of yoga. The yoga think that it's a mystic power doing lot of asana. So one who is actually advanced in the fulfillment of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra induce other to chant. So once we think that, okay, so why I'm talking about the Bhakti Yoga here? Because it is recommended in a yogic system is that it's a gradual process, it is not immediate process, correct? Then why it is not recommended in ISKCON? Why most of the paramparas have not recommended yoga? Why? Because we don't have much time. The time is very short and we don't want to waste any time. So that's why it's recommended just to chant, get advancement, get purified, and make others to chant. So now to make others to chant, what we have to do? So we have to purify ourselves. So what is a mantra for purification? Only Hare Krishna Mahamantra, which is recommended. So that's why we have to take a Diksha, or we have to follow four regulative principles, and we have to be very much focused and intensify in our bhakti. So that will helps. Kalika Kalendra Dharma, Krishna Nama Sankirtana, Krishna Shakti Vina Nahi Tara Pravarthana. So this is one of the important verse. We can understand that how much yoga is important. I mean, chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. See, Krishna conscious is not an academic study. It is not something you need to practice for many years. It is a simple for the honest and difficult for the dishonest. You can see here, even the animals chanted when Mahaprabhu was in that forest. And Jagai Madai story, we know, isn't it? So chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, getting the taste is very easy only for the honest people. It is very difficult for dishonest. We know many people says, no, I cannot continue Krishna consciousness. Why? Because it is difficult for the dishonest. And there are a lot of slides. I know it's already running out of the time, but I just would like to conclude it saying that yogic system that is only for the beginners, not for the people. And very immediate process is in this Kali Yuga. We have very shortage of time, limited of knowledge. As a result, it's recommended to follow Bhakti Yoga. And we know the destiny of all the yogas, Gnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, everything is Bhakti. Without Bhakti, none of the yogas are fruitified, or it is useless. That's what we can understand. And thank you so much for your patience listening. And whatever I have tried to show or speak, it's all because of our acharyas and a lot of articles and information what they have provided. I just spent some time, I referred, and I tried to share my realization. And thank you so much for a wonderful opportunity. Hare Krishna, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. All glories to all the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.